I started getting sleep paralysis when I moved into my new apartment. Before that, I'd never experienced it. I'd heard about it from friends, the feeling of being awake but unable to move, the hallucinations, the crushing weight on your chest. But I've always been a heavy sleeper, the kind of person who could sleep through fire alarms and thunderstorms. The apartment was perfect. Studio on the 5th floor with huge windows overlooking the city. The rent was suspiciously cheap for the area, but the landlord explained it had been vacant for 8 months and he just wanted it occupied. I signed the lease the same day I viewed it. The first episode happened 3 nights after I moved in. I woke up around 3 a.m. At least, I thought I woke up. My eyes were open and I could see my bedroom, the streetlight outside casting orange shadows through the curtains, my unpacked boxes stacked against the wall, also my phone charging on the nightstand. But I couldn't move. Not my arms, my legs, or even my fingers. I tried to sit up or even turn my head, but my body wouldn't respond. It was like being buried alive in my own skin. My heart started pounding. I tried to scream, but my jaw was locked shut. I could only manage a strangled whimper from somewhere deep in my throat. And that's when I saw her. In the corner of my room, near the closet, a woman, standing perfectly still, facing the wall. She was wearing what looked like a nightgown, long, dark hair hanging down her back. I couldn't see her face, just her silhouette in the dim light. I wanted to convince myself it was a coat hanging on the closet door or a trick of the shadows. But I knew someone was in my room. The paralysis lasted maybe 30 seconds, though it felt like hours. The moment I could move again, I lunged for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and swept it across the room. Nothing. No woman. No figure. Just my empty corner and the closet door, which was closed. I told myself it was a dream. Sleep paralysis causes hallucinations. Everyone knows that. I've read about it online after that night, falling down rabbit holes of Reddit threads and medical articles. Shadow people, demons, old hags sitting on people's chests, all explained by a misfiring brain caught between sleep and wakefulness. But the woman had looked so real. It happened again 4 nights later. Same time, 3 a.m. I knew before I even tried to move that I was paralyzed again. This time I was ready for it. I kept my breathing steady, reminded myself it was just my brain playing tricks. She was there again. Same corner, the same nightgown, and same dark hair. But this time, she was facing me. I still couldn't see her face. It was too dark, and she was too far away. But I could tell she was looking at me, standing there, watching. I focused on my breathing, tried to wiggle my toes, move my fingers, anything to break the paralysis. It took longer this time, almost a full minute. When I could finally move, I didn't turn on the light right away. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the corner, empty. I tried to fix it after that. I researched every possible cause of sleep paralysis. Stress, irregular sleep schedule, sleeping on your back. I addressed all of it. I set a strict bedtime, 11 p.m., no exceptions. I bought blackout curtains to make the room darker. I stopped sleeping on my back and forced myself to sleep on my side instead. I even bought a white noise machine to drown out any street sounds that might be disrupting my sleep. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. I started to relax, started to think I'd solved it. Then, she came back.
This time was different. I woke up paralyzed as usual, but she wasn't in the corner. She was standing at the foot of my bed, close enough that I could see her clearly in the streetlight coming through the curtains. She was younger than I'd thought, maybe late 20s. Pretty, even. Pale skin, long dark hair framing her face. She was wearing a white nightgown, old-fashioned, like something from the 1950s. And she was staring at me with the most intense expression I've ever seen on another human being. Not anger, not sadness, just focus. Like she was studying me, memorizing every detail of my face. I tried to scream, my throat wouldn't work. I tried to move, nothing. She tilted her head slightly, the way a dog does when it hears a strange sound. Then, she smiled. Not a friendly smile, not a threatening smile either. Just a smile, like she'd figured something out. The paralysis broke, and I scrambled backward against the headboard, gasping. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight. She was gone. But I could smell something. Faint, but distinct. Lavender, like old perfume.
I went to see a sleep specialist after that, a neurologist who specialized in sleep disorders. She was professional, thorough, asked me about my medical history, my stress levels, my sleep environment. She ordered a sleep study, had me spend a night in the lab with electrodes attached to my head and chest. The results came back normal. No sleep apnea, no abnormal brain activity, just regular sleep paralysis, probably triggered by the stress of moving. It's very common, she assured me, especially in people your age. The hallucinations are your brain creating dream imagery while you're partially awake. They can't hurt you. They're not real. I wanted to believe her, but the woman kept coming back. Not every night. Sometimes she'd disappear for a week, and I'd start to think it was over. Then she'd be there again, in the corner, at the foot of the bed, once standing right next to my nightstand, so close I could have reached out and touched her if I'd been able to move. I started noticing details. A small scar on her left cheek, the way her nightgown had tiny buttons down the front. Her feet were always bare. Her fingernails were painted, but the polish was chipped. These details bothered me more than anything else. Hallucinations shouldn't be this consistent. They shouldn't have this much detail.
I started sleeping with the lights on. It didn't help. She appeared anyway, clearly visible now, watching me with that same intense focus. I tried sleeping at friends' houses. She followed me there too. I tried staying awake. After 40 hours without sleep, I finally passed out and woke up paralyzed, with her sitting on the edge of my bed. I was having coffee with my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, when I finally broke down and told her about it. She was an elderly Korean woman who lived across the hall. We'd become friendly over the past few months. She'd bring me homemade kimchi. I'd help her with her groceries. This woman, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. In my sleep paralysis, she's always the same. Every time, same face, same nightgown, same everything. That's not normal, right? Mrs. Chen set down her coffee cup slowly. What does she look like? She asked quietly. I described her, the dark hair, the nightgown, the scar on her cheek. Mrs. Chen was silent for a long moment. Then she got up, went to her bookshelf, and pulled out an old photo album. She flipped through it, then handed me a photograph. My blood went cold. It was her, the woman from my sleep paralysis. Younger, in color, smiling at the camera, but unmistakably her. Same face, same hair, even the same scar on her cheek. This is Sarah Chen, Mrs. Chen said softly. My daughter-in-law. She lived in your apartment before you. Lived, I managed to say. She died there 8 months ago. The room felt too small suddenly, too warm. How? I asked. Mrs. Chen looked away. She had very bad depression. One night, she took too many pills. My son found her in the morning, in the bedroom. That explained the cheap rent, the 8-month vacancy.
why the landlord was so eager to fill it. "I'm sorry," I said automatically, still staring at the photograph. "I didn't know." "My son moved away after," Mrs. Chen continued. "He couldn't stay in the building. Too many memories." She paused. "I stayed because I'm old and moving is hard, but also because I wanted to be close to where she was. Does that sound crazy?" "No," I said. "Not at all." I handed the photograph back, my hand shaking.
"This woman in your dreams," Mrs. Chen said carefully, "does she seem angry, threatening?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "She just watches, like she's trying to tell me something, but I don't understand what." Mrs. Chen nodded slowly. "Sarah was a kind person, very gentle, but also very sad. So sad." She closed the photo album. Maybe she's still there, still sad, still alone. I couldn't stop thinking about it after that conversation. I went online and searched for Sarah Chen's obituary. Found it easily. The same face from the photograph stared back at me from the screen. Sarah Chen, 28. Beloved wife and daughter-in-law, taken too soon. The obituary was sparse on details, but I found an old blog she'd kept. Posts about her struggles with depression, her insomnia, her feelings of isolation after moving to the city. The last post was dated 3 days before she died. "I can't sleep anymore. Haven't slept properly in weeks. When I do fall asleep, I wake up and I can't move. I'm trapped in my own body, watching the room, watching the shadows. I keep thinking someone's there with me, but when I can finally move, I'm always alone. I'm so tired of being alone." I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. That night, I waited for her. I lay in bed, lights off, and stared at the corner where she usually appeared. I didn't try to sleep. I just waited. 3 a.m. came and went. Nothing. I was about to give up when the paralysis hit, but this time was different. This time, I wasn't afraid. She appeared in the corner as usual, watched me with that intense gaze. I tried to speak, knowing I couldn't, but trying anyway. In my mind, I said, "I know who you are. I know what happened to you. I'm sorry you were alone." She tilted her head again, took a step closer, then another. She walked slowly toward the bed, and I realized I could move my eyes now, could track her movement. She sat down on the edge of the bed, right where I'd felt her sit before. Up close, I could see her even more clearly. The sadness in her eyes, the exhaustion. She reached out, slowly, carefully, and touched my hand. Her fingers were ice cold, and suddenly, I could feel what she felt. Not words exactly, more like emotions flooding through me. Loneliness, desperation, and fear. The terror of being trapped in your own body, unable to move, unable to call for help. The isolation of depression, the weight of it crushing you night after night. And underneath it all, I don't want to be alone anymore. The paralysis broke. I sat up, gasping, and she was still there, still sitting on the edge of my bed, watching me with those sad eyes. "You're not alone," I said out loud. My voice was shaky. "I see you. I know you're here." She smiled, that same smile from before, but this time, I understood what it meant. Relief. She stood up slowly, walked toward the corner, and faded into nothing. I haven't had sleep paralysis since that night. Sometimes, late at night, I think I catch a glimpse of her in my peripheral vision, standing in the corner, or reflected in the window. But when I look directly, she's gone. I don't think she's haunting me anymore. I think she just needed someone to know she existed, to acknowledge that she'd been here, that she'd suffered, that she'd been real. Mrs. Chen brought me kimchi last week. We sat and talked about Sarah for a long time.
Mrs. Chen told me stories about her. How she loved to bake, how she volunteered at an animal shelter, how she could make anyone laugh when she wasn't too deep in her depression. "I think she would have liked you," Mrs. Chen said as she was leaving. I think she was right. Sometimes, on the nights when I'm having trouble sleeping, I talk out loud to the empty room. I tell Sarah about my day, about the small frustrations and small joys. I don't know if she can hear me, but I'm not alone in this apartment, and neither is she. There's one more thing I haven't told anyone. Last week, I woke up at 3 a.m. Old habits die hard, and found something on my nightstand that hadn't been there when I went to sleep. A pressed flower. Lavender. I keep it in a frame now, next to the photograph Mrs. Chen gave me of Sarah. Sometimes I catch the scent of lavender when I'm falling asleep. It doesn't frighten me anymore. It just reminds me that some ghosts aren't here to scare us. Some are just here to be remembered.
Actually, there's one more thing. I ran into my landlord last week, asked him about the previous tenant, trying to sound casual. Sarah Chen, he said. Tragic case, but that's not why the apartment sat empty for 8 months. It's not? He shook his head. We had someone move in right after she passed. Young guy, maybe mid-20s. He only lasted 2 weeks before he broke his lease, said he couldn't sleep there, kept seeing things. What kind of things? Said there was a woman in his room every night. Same woman, over and over, watching him. He laughed. People in their imaginations, right? Anyway, we had 3 more tenants after that. None of them lasted more than a month. All complained about the same thing. That's why I dropped the rent so low. Figured I'd eventually find someone who didn't mind. He clapped me on the shoulder. Guess you're not the superstitious type, huh? Haven't heard a single complaint from you. No, I said slowly. No complaints. He walked away, whistling. I stood in the hallway, thinking about what he'd said. 4 tenants before me. All of them saw her. All of them left. But I stayed. I wonder sometimes what would have happened if I'd left too. If I'd broken my lease and fled like the others, would she still be here? Alone, watching an empty room, night after night. Would she still be trying to tell someone, anyone, that she existed? I don't know. What I do know is this. She chose to show herself to me, and I chose to stay. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of us really want. Someone who sees us and chooses to stay. Anyway, even if we're already dead.